All right, guys, welcome back. Day 2 of the Division II Collegiate Championships here in Greenville, South Carolina. A little chillier today. It's about 41 degrees. The field's wet. We got James Madison here in the black and gold, getting ready to take a penalty kick. Sorry you missed the first minute and a half of action, but that's all you missed. UW Whitewater is in the purple and white strip. This is a consolation match. James Madison lost a squeaker to Salisbury yesterday, and Whitewater was the victim of a pretty darn good Minnesota Duluth team. This is Pat Clifton here with the Rugby Mag, and I'm joined with Pat Kane of the Atlantic Coast Rugby League. How you doing, Pat?
I'm a little bit cold and a little bit wet, Pat, but rugby weather, right?
That's absolutely right.
Good start for JMU, up 3-0 early on. I think you and I talked yesterday, and we both thought that JMU probably had the advantage in this game for a number of reasons. One being just the style of play we saw them play yesterday compared to Whitewater. The other being that they might be a little bit more hungry for a win in this third-place match. They've not been to this level before of the playoffs. Coming away with third place is a pretty big deal for that program and their evolution, whereas Whitewater, the national champions 2 years ago, may not be really fired up to be playing in this consolation match. Consolation matches are difficult from a mental standpoint, and a lot of times it's really who can get up for the game better. And I think we both thought that Madison had that edge.
Both teams, a lot of changes today. Guys who didn't play yesterday are playing. Ben Landry, who was the man for Whitewater yesterday, is out as he went out with an injury. And then Tim Katz, who the 4-try scorer for James Madison, is also out. So both teams missing their biggest muscle.
It'll be interesting to see the depth, really how deep James Madison is, because they've made really wholesale changes. I think they probably have about 9 new starters in their first 15 from the team that they fielded yesterday. So it'll be a good opportunity for these guys to get a chance to show what they can do. I know James Madison's a young team. They only had 3 seniors in the lineup for yesterday's semifinal against Salisbury. So certainly this is going to be a program to be reckoned with in years to come.
Ball's a bit slippery. I think that might have been the culprit there. Chris Kunkel unable to hold on to it. It's a poor pass to begin with, but the ball is certainly going to be a little slippery today.
In these cold and wet conditions, you would think that it would favor the playing style of Whitewater. James Madison likes to play really fast, really wide, keep the ball moving. It'll be interesting to see if they stick with that style of play today or if they try to adjust to the elements. Whitewater's not going to have to adjust their game plan at all, which is just power rugby. Saw Whitewater's scrum struggle there, partially probably due to the absence of Landry, but their scrum was really exposed yesterday against Duluth. Duluth walked in 2 tries to the try zone off 5-meter scrums.
Whitewater already showing a little better continuity in the breakdown. JMU not quite as big as Duluth was yesterday. Got a new fly half in today for Whitewater, Tim Grams. He wasn't quite paying attention when the outpass came his way, but luckily for Whitewater, they got a penalty. Probably going to take advantage of it and try to get some field positioning here.
Referee having a chat with the the Madison captain and a player about what was going on in the breakdown there. Clearly he saw some things he didn't like early on at the breakdown and is trying to fix that quickly so that the game can be played freely. You would think James Madison would be happy with that. They'd want quick breakdowns, quick ball movement. We pick up where we left off yesterday with penalty kicks not finding touch. Saw a lot of that yesterday. lack of basic skill.
And Whitewater's going to get a line out deep in JMU's end anyways. Landry was their main operator in the line out yesterday, and when he came out of the game, they started opting for more scrums. Looks like we're not going to have a line out. Brought it back for forward pass, I think. But when we do get to a line out, be interesting to see if the Warhawks go up and who they put up. Up and under from Kunkel. Not much field position gained with that kick. And possession's given away too. That's Fuchs from Whitewater with the kick. Results in a 22-meter drop here for James Madison. The Madison defense didn't come up very flat, but some poor handling from Whitewater is going to bail them out.
Whitewater playing a very tight game. They've got 11 men around the ball.
Madison
could hurt them as there's a turnover. If Madison can move the ball quick, they've got numbers out wide to the left, and that's exactly where they're going.
That slippery ball gets them again.
Yeah, it's going to take the players. I think Madison's going to be affected more by that than Whitewater. Madison likes to play fast. They like to move the ball wide. Scrum half, fly half exchange is going to have to get down before they can really move their offense forward the way they want. And actually just heard Coach Lamborn telling Kunkel to close the gap between him and the scrum half.
Whitewater tried that last time to go to their fly half and then back into the pack, and it's a tactic used by a lot of teams that like to keep it tight and play 10-man rugby. Not very successful, as James Madison wasn't thinking in the least bit that the 10 was going to go outside. They knew he was coming right back to the pack.
Whitewater's struggles in the scrum continue as James Madison took that one against the head.
James Madison get the ball out here. Gabe Harrison, who was playing fullback yesterday, has moved inside center, and he is a pretty electric runner. Kunkel elects to kick, and his chasers are unable to bring down Tyler Fuchs. Nice little run here. He's got the sideline. Let's see if he's going to have to cut in here or kick. He kicks. It's a good turn of field position there from Whitewater, and they can win this ball.
And they have won it. Knock on James Madison. Great individual effort from Fuchs going down the sideline, beat about 4 James Madison defenders.
Whitewater, if they can get this scrum, gotta think it's going to be a try time.
Yeah, unfortunately, they haven't gotten a scrum all weekend, Pat.
Right. AJ Andolino's the man at the back of the scrum for the Warhawks. Might be a 8-man pick situation. Whitewater's got him moving backwards. They need to get the ball out, though.
Good job by the 8 to clean up that dirty ball, and he caused a penalty at the scrum, offsides on the scrum half.
Whitewater threw the ball out themselves.
Yeah, they might have
keeping them from being able to go quick.
They might have hoped to have played the referee had played some advantage there.
Well, I can't argue with Whitewater's decision to just tap and go there instead of opt for the scrum, as sloppy as that piece of the game has been for them. need to clean it up here, and if they're going to run a pick and jam, really do it cleanly and protect that ball.
Referee's going to bring it back for offsides, I think. And there's a try for Whitewater. So Pat, Whitewater's looking pretty good in the first 10 minutes of this game, and I think we were wondering yesterday, was their seemingly poor performance a result of Whitewater not being as good as touted, or Duluth just being that good? And based on the first 10 minutes of this game, I think maybe the answer is that Minnesota Duluth is just that good.
Yeah, Duluth was very impressive yesterday. They got some big units, athletic units. So, no shame in Whitewater's loss, I don't think. I think Duluth just has proven they are pretty darn good. I mean, they've made it back to their second national championship game in a row, and it's not by mistake. These consolation games, as you alluded to, are tricky. You never know which team really cares, which team maybe went out and didn't get to bed as early as they needed to, or would have if they were in a championship game otherwise. And you never know. I mean, obviously there's a lot of substitutions, so the depth is really going to be tested.
I think from the Whitewater perspective, Pat, I mean, let's be frank here. They were embarrassed by Duluth yesterday.
Absolutely.
And so they have something to prove today, and I expect that their coaching staff, Pat O'Connor, Matt Peterson, really gave these guys a talking to about coming together as a team and rebounding today.
I mean, they're a proud program, 2011 national champions, and this team only had 3 guys left from that team, so from that national championship team. And really, they had a big sea change. Even they had a lot of turnover from last season when they were knocked out in the quarterfinals. So this is a true program in the sense that it's not just 1 or 2 classes that are really coming together to make them good. And they're pretty proud, and they're going to want to get a W on the weekend. They drove this far. They're not going to want to do it for nothing. It's a good run by Brian Heim. Probably Whitewater's best player on the field today. Good width from the Warhawks. Fuchs is a slippery character. He doesn't look like much, but he's been proving that he's not easy to bring down. There's not much to him.
And
so
we
if you're
didn't
gonna tackle him. You gotta aim right.
We didn't call his name at all yesterday, really, during the game against Duluth in the semifinals. So shows that Duluth had a good game plan to keep the ball out of his hands, and really that game plan was that they just kept the ball in their own hands. Duluth possessed the ball for most of that match. Really didn't give Whitewater any opportunity to attack. And today looks like it's going to be a different story. We've seen Whitewater with a lot of possession.
Well, I mean, you talk about the game being won and lost in the trenches and in the breakdown, and it's cliche, but it's true. And Whitewater today is able to get more continuity because they're playing a pack that I think is a little bit smaller, and they've got an advantage there. And we didn't get to see Whitewater use a lot of ball yesterday, so had they had more ball, they might have done a little bit more with it.
Madison clears from their own end.
Looks like he's getting it up now. UWW is home.
Yes. JMU's just trying to move the ball out of their own end. Second clearance kick in a row. Worked out well for Kunkel.
Kunkel was impressive yesterday, Pat. I thought he was one of the standout players for Madison, matching up against three-time All-American fly half Nick Cool for Salisbury. He acquitted himself very well.
Kunkel from Baltimore. So he knows a lot of the Salisbury Marylanders. And Skip Grinnell, who just, when he saw that there wasn't much of a plan outside of him, tucked it up and ran. He came on for the an inside center yesterday as a reserve and really injected some passion and some go forward.
Referee's going to bring it back. Playing knock on at the line out, I believe. Quite a long advantage there for a knock on. Much better scrum from Whitewater.
And a good carry for Mandolino at the back of the. Looked like it might have been a bit of a knock from the outside center, Keandre Walton Cooper, but goes uncalled. Whitewater holds onto the ball. There's Walton Cooper again.
Cooper's been
Nice
very
offloading.
active.
Tim Graham's is the guy playing fly half today. As you mentioned, he didn't play at 10 yesterday for the Warhawks, but I think he's played fairly well so far today.
Madison player lost his boot. Stoppage in play as he re-cleats. About a quarter way through this third place match here in Greenville. Temperature's about 40 degrees. We got a light misty rain, swirling winds.
Sounds like there are several R's in that crouch. The Scottish referee, he's used to these conditions.
Great movement by Madison off the set piece.
Injecting the fullback there. Pierce Burkett. Danny Loro, rather. But a nice
Madison,
movement, nice run, showing a little bit of what they were able to do yesterday.
he's penalized for some foul play in the ruck, and the referee sends him off the field.
And Sean
Yellow
Davidson,
card.
the lock, who's going to be taking a timeout for JMU.
I didn't see what happened there. Looked like he must have been called for coming into the ruck dangerously.
Quick tap from Whitewater in their own end.
Oh.
It's not a very quick one.
Almost got picked and brought the other way by Madison.
It was a questionable decision to begin with, and then it was executed pretty poorly. So now Madison has good territory here. Not only that one can be blamed on the wet ball, I think he was more worried about the contact he was about to incur than he was.
Yeah, that pass was made right at the tackle point. It'll be interesting to see how Madison adjusts with the scrum here, having lost one of their locks.
They're going to move Michael Creighton in, who was a flanker and a really hard ball carrier for them yesterday, into the second row.
Smartly playing without a weak side flanker. The last two scrums for Whitewater have been a bit better. Let's see if they can get something moving off of this one.
Here's Grinnell. It's a good hard run to break the gain line. He did it all by himself, really. It's Matt Zerwicki.
Wow, great break by Zwicky, and he might be away. He is.
He is. Harrison is not going to catch him. He looked completely bottled up.
Wow,
He was surrounded by James Madison tacklers.
And Kunkel is furious with his teammates for letting that break happen.
That's the kind of game that, or the kind of break that happens in a consolation game that doesn't happen in a semifinal or final. The willingness to tackle from James Madison there was just non-existent.
Yeah, that was also an issue, I think, of there were 4 players around the ball carrier, and each one of them thought someone else was going to make the tackle. And at the end of the day, nobody did.
So Whitewater about to take a 9-point lead, it looks like. Grams can slot the conversion, which it's dead on, so he should. And does. So it's 12-3 Whitewater. So that's 17 and a half minutes to play. Talking to James Madison's coach last night, they have played an awful lot of rugby this fall. And more than anything, it's been the 2-day weekends that have been kind of a killer for them. They had to go through after going undefeated in conference regular season play, they had to go then beat those teams again in a 2-day weekend in their playoffs. And then obviously 2-day weekends in the USA Rugby playoffs.
6 games in the span of 25 days, something like that, I think Coach Lamborn said.
Whitewater obviously has done the same thing too. They had to play through the wheel playoffs.
Again, we continue to see touch finders not find touch.
And yet again, it goes unpunished because the counterattacker runs out of bounds.
No, the first mistake was by Kunkel. He had an opportunity to get Madison a line out inside the 22-meter, and he couldn't find touch. So now it's a Whitewater line out, and clearly they missed their big man Ben Landry in the line out, because that line out went straight to James Madison.
Madison flat-footed because they're ready to play defense. So they've done well just to break the gain line here.
And you're seeing the Dukes play a little bit tighter game right there. You didn't see much of that short ball to the forwards off the ruck, and the refs got something else at the breakdown. he's not been happy with the way things have gone so far at the tackle point.
It's a good play by Tim Rutkowski. He saw the ball squirt out, and the lock just jumped on it. Looks like it's going to be a penalty on Whitewater, whatever it is. Already quite a few minutes spent chatting with the referee.
Let's see if Kunkel can find touch on this one. Chance to redeem himself. Put his team in a good attacking position.
He does. They're about 15 meters shy of the try line.
They've had to adjust their line out too, the Dukes, with their lock in the bin. And they appear lucky to have won that. Didn't go to the intended jumper, but they still maintain possession.
Kunkel's going to keep it. A knock on by Harrison. He had a couple bad mishandles yesterday. Had a bit of a rough weekend. He's a talented player, though.
See if Whitewater elects to try to run this out of their own end or put the ball to boot. Appears they've got some wind at their back, although it's tough to tell exactly which way the wind is blowing here in Greenville, and it seems to change every minute.
You're right down the middle of the field, which is generally where you don't want to, but they got a good chase.
And they regained possession, and now they're attacking down this left sideline.
There's Heim. Well, that's got to be a yellow
How
card.
is he not playing? He's playing advantage.
He's got the arm out. That's a professional foul if I've seen one. Way offsides. Intentional knock on top of that.
I would expect he's still playing advantage. Maybe he said advantage game
Walton
now.
Cooper, the nice run here.
He's had a
See if he
really
can get
good.
some support.
He's had a really good game so far.
Impressive. He was able to place the ball, get back up, and grab it, even with a James Madison defender draped all over him. Go wide. They got numbers if they just hand it out. Interesting offload there from Whitewater, but
Looked like there might have been a Madison player in from the side too, but the referee didn't think so.
Fuchs.
Huge tackle at the goal line. Somehow, I think he offloaded the ball in that. And it's a Whitewater try.
Well done.
Well, Fuchs went about 10 meters backwards, but somehow the ball remained exactly where it was, so he must have gotten that out to one of his teammates on the about as far away from where we are as can be on the field, so we couldn't see exactly what happened. But well done by him to keep that ball alive and results in a try. So completely different Whitewater team here today. They've actually put together some good phases, seem to have a structured attack.
We're seeing what they can do when they get ball.
Yeah, and that's really what Duluth did to him yesterday, was just starve him of possession.
When you've got two heavyweights who all they can do is slug, and one is a better slugger than the other, it might be a short fight, which it was yesterday with Whitewater, but it doesn't mean that Whitewater can't play. Difficult conversion miss, so it's going to remain 17-3. Got about 11 minutes to play here in the half.
Madison has really not looked to have much of anything in the way of attacking threats today. Obviously, like we said, they had wholesale changes from the team that took the field yesterday against Salisbury.
including a guy who's managed 4 tries and really was sparking their attack at every turn, and Tim Katz.
Some also like to call him Michael Katz incorrectly. I apologize for having misidentified Mr. Katz yesterday.
Madison's back at full strength. Sean Davidson comes running back onto the pitch.
Referee's going to have a chat with him. Hopefully we can just play rugby now instead of having so many problems at the breakdown that require lectures from the referee. Wow, Whitewater might have taken that against the head.
Looks like they did. It won't keep it for very long.
Now attempted backhanded offload from the ball carrier results in a knock-on. Probably not the type of play you want to try to make in these conditions. Whitewater had some excitement last night at their hotel. There was apparently the police were called because of some suspected drug activity occurring at the hotel, obviously not involving Whitewater, but in the ensuing police investigation, a suspect almost drove his car over 2 parents of a Whitewater player. Police had to fire shots. They ultimately arrested the driver later, but probably not exactly what Whitewater wanted to have on their plates last night at 10 p.m.
Another good line taken by JMU. This one's going to result in a try. That's the second time we've seen their 15 come in and take the ball right off of Kunkel and find some space. We've seen from Madison go unpunished.
Well, that wasn't unpunished. They called the penalty, but wasn't punished as harshly as maybe it might have been.
The first one was pretty egregious, whether you call it an intentional knock or just being the way he played it offside.
Yeah, so deliberately offsides, retreating.
It resulted in a try, and I think maybe that took the referee's mind off of what had happened. But
he's coming
it's
back.
astonishing that Madison is playing at full strength right now.
I thought he was going to come back and have a talking to with the Madison player, but instead they get the line out, and they're now again trying to clear their own end. That's been par for the course for them today.
Nice maul here for Madison to give Kunkel a little bit more room to make the kick. And a good kick, too. But they're going to go quick, and Fuchs is off and running. Steps one defender.
Fuchs has had a really good day. I think he lost the ball forward there. Well, Pat, having seen the number of handling errors so far in this game by both teams, what do you project that means if we continue to see these same conditions and no improvement for the championship match?
Well, I think it's dangerous if you're Salisbury. Obviously, Duluth has to, their hands aren't going to be any better holding onto a slippery ball, but they're going to put it through a lot less passes than Salisbury. So it's going to be crucial that Salisbury is really focused simply on their pass catch if they want to play as wide as we think they probably do.
And right there's another example of when Madison's trying to move the ball quickly, undone by sloppy ball handling, and you don't know how much of that is the elements, how much of that is new players not used to playing with each other or out of position, fatigue from yesterday, a lot of factors, but certainly I think that, as you said, these conditions are going to affect Salisbury more than Duluth. And in fact, Duluth is probably loving the fact that it's 40 degrees, and they would probably be happy if it would dropped another 10 degrees and some white stuff started falling from the sky.
This is beach weather in Duluth. We've been buried in snow all week leading up to this tournament. Some more width. Zerwicki's got some space.
Oh.
The pass to Fuchs is dropped. You know, Whitewater's able to play with some width today that they weren't able to play with yesterday. We already talked about the fact that they're doing it because they got ball. But they're also doing a better job of catching and passing than James Madison. It's one of those very simple skills, catching the ball, that even though us as Americans don't play from a young age, should be able to master quite well. You just can't take a pass for granted. You got to focus, especially in a day like today, on making the catch.
Whitewater steals the line out. And then, well, they're knocking on the door again. Let's see if they elect to pound it with the forwards or go into their backs. They got their two speedy wings out wide with some space, so if they do choose to move the ball, which it looks like they're going to do, they've got the numbers out wide. Madison's defense comes up fast. I would think that that might have been blocking on the dummy runner. Referee says no, and he's instead going to come back and go for, I would assume, an offsides on James Madison.
Walton Cooper definitely took out a potential tackler with his dummy line.
Let's see if Whitewater elects to go for the scrum here. Taking a page out of what was done to them yesterday by Duluth. Now it looks like they're going to just bash it with the forwards.
Brian Heim is the guy they elect to give the ball to.
And that's where missing Ben Landry comes into play, because that's a situation where they just tap the ball, give it to Landry, and he goes in for the try almost automatically, as we saw him do for Whitewater's lone try yesterday. That was a really nice dummy run by the Whitewater prop to set up that try. I think everyone had keyed on the big number 3.
And the little number 2, Danny Krause, is the one who benefited from it.
Danny Krause with the try.
Krause is a little guy, but he's very active. Kept the legs turning there and resulted in him landing in pay dirt. So we got a minute left in this half, 22-10. James Madison could really benefit from sneaking some points in and regaining a little bit of momentum before we break for intermission.
Interesting to see if Madison brings on some new players at the half, try to inject some more life into the Duke side. And wow, incredible conversion from the sideline.
Great kick by Tim Grams there. Tim's brother Joe Grams is playing loose head prop today for Whitewater.
And their father, Lou Graham, was the lead singer of Foreigner. Actually, I'm not sure that that's true, so you might want to check Wikipedia on that.
Whitewater's probably going to be content. Probably should be content. Go through some phases and get the ball out. Get the ball into touch and just take the lead in the half.
You see the danger of trying to play out of their own end with these conditions. The ball just went to ground, and they were lucky to have not lost possession.
Nice break by Krause again.
Krause is a really good little player.
You gotta get low on that guy. That's a forward pass there from the larger of the 2 Grams.
I suspect that's going to be the half, and it is.
So it's going to be 24-10 as we go into halftime. And we'll be back shortly for the second half of this third place game.
And we're back here for the second half of the third place game for the Division II USA Rugby Collegiate National Championship. University of Wisconsin Whitewater leads James Madison 24-10. I'm Pat Kane, Commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Rugby League. I'm here with Pat Clifton from Rugby Mag. Whitewater's going to kick off to start the second half, and Madison's going to look to play a little bit better this half, I suspect, than they did in the first half. Not the team we saw yesterday, certainly. And good start for Madison as they move the ball really quickly. Powerful run from Rubio. Oh, there's the fly half Kunkel. We saw him yesterday. Let's see if he gets a goose step. Oh, phenomenal pass by Kunkel, just off the fingertips of the trailing support runner. So Madison, first minute of this half has really looked like they've got a fire lit under them. Not surprising that Coach Lamborn was in their ears at the half. It's going to be a scrum to Whitewater. Whitewater's scrum has looked a heck of a lot better today than it did yesterday against the powerful forward pack of Minnesota Duluth. Madison's setting up to play a tighter attack, it looks, at least off first phase ball. They draw a penalty. They looked like they were going to go quick, but now Kunkel's going to put the ball to touch. Attack from a line out, assuming he can get the ball out of bounds. Shouldn't be a problem from this angle. And he gets it out. So Madison's going to have an attacking line out about 15 meters out. 2 minutes into this second half. And this would be big for Madison to start the half with some points. Lineout's not entirely clean, but they regain possession. Kunkel slips as he tries to make the pass, but Madison still brings it in and is now attacking center of the field. Quick recycle, that's been characteristic of the Dukes all weekend. They do not let the ball sit at that ruck very long. Huge run. Whitewater's defense blitzing really fast. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pinged for offsides at some point if Madison keeps the phases. Madison continuing to recycle, not gaining much territory, but now it looks like they get called for unintentional obstruction there, and the referee's going to scrum down to Whitewater. Got to expect Whitewater to try to just put ball to boot here, clear their own end. And they do, but poor kick right down the middle of the field. Kunkel fields it right at the 22. Dummies. Attacks. Madison has a really good attacking platform out to the right if they choose to use it, and they are going to attack through Harrison. Harrison steps 1, 2, 3 defenders, and now Madison's 5 meters out. Somehow the ball pops out. Whitewater comes out of there, and now they're going the other way. The referee's going to come back, play advantage from a knock-on from James Madison, about 5 meters out. sub comes on for James Madison. So we're back where we were about a minute ago with a Whitewater put in, looking to clear their own end. Going to kick from the try zone, see if their fly half can do a little bit better with this one. Madison's scrum powerful. And it looks like Madison's going to get pinged for coming up in the scrum front row. So now Whitewater's going to have the chance to put it to touch, gain some territory, get out of their danger zone, and have an attacking line out. Except once again, we see a penalty kick not make touch, and Madison has been very dangerous on the counterattack. The JMU sideline complaining about tackler not rolling away, but they continue their attack. Harrison, again, nice run, spins away from one defender, steps another. Quick recycle from the Dukes. Ball carries almost through, ball squirts out loose. Good job by, I think it was, I don't know who that was from the Dukes who picked it up, but then he lost it forward, and Whitewater has it. Back and forth affair possession-wise here. No one can really seem to hold on to the ball very long. Again, the wet conditions playing a big factor in that. And it's going to scrum to Whitewater. Be interesting to see if Wisconsin Whitewater elects to run the ball from this position. There's a lot of space on the right side of the scrum, and they've moved their danger man Yaks over there. And they're 8 with a big run. He doesn't have the support. It's going to be, he's got diving over by Madison. Whitewater takes it quick. They're on the attack. Ball carrier was upended there, looked unintentional. So this is Whitewater's first foray into James Madison territory this half. And the referee's got a knock on by James Madison at the ruck. Madison coaching staff not happy with the way the referee is policing the breakdown. They like to play fast, both offensively and defensively. Quick counter rucks, and saying the ball carriers preventing them from being able to contest fairly for the ball defensively in the rucks. Good attacking scrum from Whitewater at the James Madison 22. Let's see what they can do with it. Poor service from the base of the scrum, and there's a knock on by Whitewater. So it's all for naught, and it's going to scrum to James Madison. Of room on the weak side of the scrum. Be interesting to see if Madison chooses to go weak. Ball comes straight out of the tunnel though. If they can get clean ball at this scrum, there is tons of room on the right side of the field. But Whitewater takes it against the head, and they're using that space that was there. And again, ball handling error. He's going to give the ball back to JMU. Referee has time off. Madison's going to be making a substitution. On for the Dukes is Alex Fedorenko. Coming off is Gabe Harrison. Harrison had a good day today. Showed some nifty moves running in traffic. Interesting to see if Madison has another goal kicker, because Harrison was their man for that task. I suspect Kunkel can probably kick it goal. So Madison's able to win this scrum. 8 picks from the base. Madison really hasn't been able to get into the quick pattern that they like to play that we saw so successfully executed yesterday against Salisbury, but there's a big bruising run. And now they're going to try to move the ball wide. And that looks like the Dukes offense that we saw yesterday. Lots of offloads, quick ball. And Mike Creighton just hurdled the defender. And once again, we see a dirty exchange between the scrum half and fly half Kunkel. Ball was at his shoelaces, and he just wasn't able to grasp it, and it stalls the James Madison attack. So Madison has looked better here in the second half, but haven't really threatened to put any points on the board. It's still 24-10. Whitewater leads in this third place match here at the USA Rugby Division II Men's Collegiate National Championships. Big scrum from Whitewater. They choose to go left off the base of the scrum with the 8-man feeding the ball out. Fuchs gets dragged into touch, and it's going to be a James Madison line out. Good line out from Madison, and knocked on by Kunkel. That 9-10 exchange has really hurt James Madison. I'm not sure if he's going to say that's an intentional knock. He's going to say it's apparently thrown forward. Looks like the referee had judged that Kunkel was trying to make a tap pass, and the ball went forward. Not intentionally knocked. James Madison takes the ball against the head. So these scrums have been very unpredictable in terms of who's going to, no one seems to be able to win their own ball. Whitewater takes it quick after having drawn a penalty after Madison stole the scrum. Another problem with the 9-10 exchange, this time on Whitewater's side. And there's a penalty to Madison. Kunkel's going to take it quick. Here comes Madison. Creighton. He's been good with ball in hand today. And there's going to be another penalty against Whitewater. And again, Madison chooses to take a quick tap, trying to speed up the game here, dictate the tempo. And referee's going to come back for, looked like Kunkel might have taken a late hit. I'm not sure. Referee's calling the captain over. If it is a late hit, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to his pocket, because that might have been both late and by a defender not back 10. That's just going to be a warning. So here's a penalty right in front of the posts. But with Harrison off the field, Madison's going to choose to kick the touch. Kunkel with the good kick, and Madison's going to have an attacking line out. Dukes will be about 10 meters out, attacking on the far side of the field. So they really need to probably punch one in here, get some momentum. It's a good opportunity, one of the best they've had this half. But difficulty in the lineout results in a bad kick from Whitewater. Creighton takes it, good offload. So despite the poor lineout, Madison's still in a good attacking position. Let's see what the Dukes can do with it. And the referee's got another penalty on Whitewater, and this time is definitely going to be a card. No question that the referee's going to send someone off the field. And I think it's going to be Keandre Walton Cooper, who's going to go to the bin for Whitewater. So with 24 minutes left in this half, and James Madison attacking 10 meters out, down 14, everything looks to be going the Duke's way. They're going to go quick, bash their forwards. And the forwards are a dummy to Kunkel. Kunkel to Creighton. Creighton loses the ball forward. And once again, we see unfortunate ball handling errors really killing attacking opportunities. And for those of you wondering where Mr. Clifton has been this half, well, you can blame the hot wings at local Q restaurant where we ate dinner last night. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin us soon. And Whitewater gets a scrum taken against the head. Madison, good attacking opportunity. Inside center inserted. And we have yet another knock on by James Madison. Ball handling errors have really hurt the Dukes, stymieing many good attacking opportunities. That's 2 in a row in the span of 3 minutes, right inside of 5 meters from the Whitewater try line. Let's see if the Dukes can steal another scrum against the head. They've taken the last couple. The referee's going to reset the scrum. So now that the referees sorted out the scrum, Whitewater will put in. Definitely going to look to clear from their own try zone. They've had difficulty with this so far this half. And they do manage to get it to touch, slowing down the James Madison attack momentarily at least. Good line out from Madison. Good result anyway. Wasn't necessarily textbook. And there's that quick ball. I think Whitewater's offsides, but the referee doesn't seem to be calling that. Ball goes to touch. It's going to be a line out to Madison. I'm sorry, line out to Whitewater inside their own 22. Let's see if they try to clear their end or run it out. They have not had any success when they've tried to clear using the boot. They opt for the short line out. And they get it to touch, but not even outside their own 22. So Madison's going to have an attacking line out inside the 22. And one of these times they're going to have to capitalize and put some points on the board. They've had a lot of good opportunities. They've had most of the possession, most of the territory this half, yet they've got nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. Another not clean lineup, but Madison manages to retain possession. And there's Creighton. They seem to be using him as a runner quite a bit.
We're back. Got a knock on by James Madison here. So we have a scrum to Whitewater.
Madison has taken a number of scrums against the head, but not this time.
It's your choice to go weak there by Whitewater. It's paying off at the moment.
Huge tackle, almost a dump tackle. Whitewater's coaching staff would have liked to have seen that called a dangerous tackle, but I don't think that it was. Neither did the referee.
Good offload by Rebolt to keep that ball alive instead of getting driven out of bounds with it. A little flat there, and a bit poor pass to Fuchs results in James Madison have some pretty prime possession and territory here.
But as has been the case all half, they've not been able to capitalize, so let's see if this time they can. Right around here is where we tend to see them knock the ball on. It's happened 3 or 4 times this half. They're playing a little bit more conservative. Certainly not used to seeing this pick and jam offense from Madison, but I think it may have, well, look, it resulted in another knock-on, which that marks at least the 3rd, if not the 4th, knock-on that Madison has had 5 meters from the Whitewater line. So we're going to scrum to Whitewater. 17 minutes on the clock.
JMU's Connor Bowles, a tight head prop, pretty slow to get off the ground. I think we might see a sub come in for him. one good last push in the scrum, though. Whitewater's got it secured. Graham's got the kick away, and let's see what Madison can do. This is counterattacking is one of the hallmarks of their game. Oh, Kunkel just
Kunkel got destroyed.
He got drilled. He got the pass off, but it was to nobody. And then he was driven into the ground right after. Whitewater rewarded after that staunch defense. Ooh, rough pass from Graham's.
Ball handling has been really poor on both sides today.
Riddell wasn't able to scoop that one up, but that wasn't his fault. Graham's put it in his shoelaces.
So once again, Madison with an attacking opportunity in the Whitewater half. They've had a lot of those this half, but have yet to capitalize. The score is 24-10 still. Whitewater's made almost no forays into the James Madison end. Just one that I can recall this half. Good counter strike by the Whitewater hooker. And their scrum half is off down the sideline.
Alex Kitchener. He's been flirting with that quite a bit. He picked the ball up from the base of his scrum, usually takes some steps, and then offload or pass off to the fly half. This time he kept it. Cleanly taken, but not legally. Whitewater opts for the scrum.
And the sin bin player's back on. He's going to get a brief lecture from the referee, and then he'll be back. Whitewater will be back at full strength. So as was the case yesterday, Pat, it seems like it's been getting colder as the day has gone on.
It's definitely not getting warmer. Ran into the Salisbury coach just a few minutes ago, and as you'd expect, they're not very pleased with this weather. They'd much rather it be dry and warm if they're going to play the style of game they prefer. Grinnell's a hard runner. I'm impressed with him.
He is.
He's a guy who didn't even start yesterday, and he's been one of the playmakers today for the Warhawks.
Interesting change of direction by Whitewater.
Zerwicki lowered his shoulder and really plowed over that JMU tackler who did a good job to just hold on. It's 3 straight bangers from Whitewater. Looks like they're going to be content to keep it up. But Danny Krause can't hold on to the ball.
Good counter ruck by James Madison.
Can Kunkel get it to touch? No. See if
Here
the
comes
slippery Fuchs Nice. Corralled this time. There's Fedorenko. The usual starting inside center for James Madison. He's playing with a really bum ankle. You can see it's taped up, his right one. He's usually got a lot more mobility, and he's usually a pretty dynamic player for him, but he was bottled up yesterday, and that's a counter ruck there. That's our boy Grinnell. You can hear him growling from up here.
He's had a good game. Good recognition there by the Whitewater fly half that there was no fullback for James Madison, and it results in a penalty inside the 22. You got to think that Whitewater's going to opt for posts here to try to make this a 3-score game.
Looks like they're going to line it up and run it, though.
Well, I guess third place game. Let's see. Well,
Oh,
bad
that's-
decision.
Bad decision compounded by poor execution. It's the second knock on by Kraus and as many touches.
The last scrum we saw Whitewater take it against the strike, so Madison's going to have to hopefully fix that on this pack down. Referee sees something he doesn't like with the front rows.
Coco lined up for the kick on the weak side of the scrum.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kunkel actually not kick this and choose to attack. He's made one break today. We saw him make multiple breaks yesterday. His team down 2 converted tries. He may be looking to make something happen on his own.
The new scrum engagement's supposed to be fixing this, where we don't have to fall asleep every time we have a scrum down because it's constantly being reset. I don't know that it's made many strides there. JMU needs to get that ball out, and they do before Madison wheels it.
Well, Kunkel does the opposite of what I expected and puts it to touch. Good touch finder. Gained about 30 meters of territory. Whitewater struggled with the line out, so maybe this will work out in James Madison's favor. They've got to get something working here now. We're under 10 minutes to play, and they're down 2 converted tries.
Good steal by
Madison is
Madison.
taking it.
Kunkel, the ball didn't move quickly enough for him to be able to make the pass. He got caught
And
standing
Whitewater's
still.
turned the ball over. More handling errors.
Pretty poor out pass there from Alex Kitchener.
Good counter ruck by James Madison. The Dukes have stolen the ball.
Some sloppy, unfocused play by both sides.
Very rare that you see this many James Madison players in a ruck. They've got about 6 guys at the breakdown. They usually try to win the breakdown with 2 or 3 and then move the ball quick. Huge counter ruck from Whitewater.
That's Andolino with the big tackle. Him and Walton Cooper were not making it very easy on the Dukes to keep the ball. Whitewater playing without their scrum half Kitchener right now, who busted his eye open, is bleeding and getting that taken care of. So he won't be making any tackles in the next couple minutes.
Let's see if James Madison can take advantage of Kitchener's absence, not only is a good defensive player making tackles, he also organizes their defensive structure. And James Madison's happy to attack.
Nice
There's
run
a
by
big break by
Federico.
Federico. This is what the coaches told us he could do, and there we see it, and that's huge. So with 7 minutes left, the Dukes touchdown under the post after a huge run. That was about 40 meters by Federico, and this conversion should be good, which will make it a one-score game.
The amount of guys laying on the ground for Whitewater a little excessively long is any indication they might be right for the picking.
And Kitchener's going to have to come off for a blood sub to try to get that bleeding stopped. And with Harrison off the field, Kunkel will take over the kicking duties. Very important conversion here, right under the post. He's got to hit this. Clock showing just about 6 minutes to play.
Subs lining up on both sides here. Looks like Whitewater's going to make a line change with 4 guys coming on.
And Kunkel hits it, so there's 7 away, 6 minutes to play.
I wonder if Whitewater's regretting the decision not to go for posts.
They should be. And 4 nicely pressed, clean white jerseys run onto the field for Whitewater. It'll be easy to see the guys who have fresh legs. They'll stand out because their jerseys are white while their teammates are gray.
Walton Cooper's got a bloody eye. We'll see if he is a tactical sub or a blood sub. He might be coming back on. They could certainly use him. He's been really active.
And he had a 10-minute rest in the sin bin. Looks like Whitewater had 16 men on the field, so
Brian Heim coming off as well.
They've gotten that squared away.
He's their captain, their leader. That might be a big loss.
And the referee's had his watch stopped while the stadium clock rolls, so we're probably not going to be completely accurate on how much time is left. There's about 5 minutes.
Beautiful restart, goes exactly 10 meters. James Madison knocked it on. Whitewater's going to have a scrum. With Kitchener off the field, we've also got a new 9-10 combination here.
Well, hopefully for Whitewater, the exchange between these two is better than the exchange was between Kitchener and his former halfback partner, because they struggled all day to get ball from base of the scrum or the ruck to hand. So time's running out for Madison, down 7.
The ball looks out to me. It came straight out the tunnel, but
yeah, it looked like the Madison flanker, had he unbound, he could have played that ball. And instead, we've got one of the new players on for Whitewater making
fresh
a break
legs
on the
paying
sideline,
off.
and he's going to ice this game, I think.
Oh,
And
just
not
shrugs
only
off the
shrugs
would-be
off the
tackler.
tackler into the,
Heck of a job.
and just like that, with about 3 minutes remaining, Whitewater goes up 29-17 with what looks to be an easy conversion. That'll make it a 14-point spread. And
That was Zerwicki for his second try, not a new guy. He's a pretty fast guy. He gets space on the edge. I know that he was someone they wanted to have more ball yesterday. He didn't get it.
yeah, he looked like a new guy because his jersey's clean, because no one's been able to tackle him today.
Looks like Kitchener's stitched up and ready to come back on the field. So Kitchener will go back to 9 and move Grahams back out to 10. Notice Zerwicki again. Slowly driving forward and then breaking off of what should have been an easier tackle. Gonna have a James Madison put in. They need to make something happen off of this set piece.
Looks like they're still trying to get Walton Cooper ready to go back on the field. I'm not sure they need him at this point, although he's ready to come back on. Under 2 minutes remaining on the stadium clock here.
Looks like the Dukes are going to win this scrum. Find them. I'm trying to find Fedorenko.
He's lined up to the left in the second receiver position, so they are set to get him the ball.
That was a clever play there. I think he mishandled the pass and managed to get the kickoff to avoid a knock-on. And Graham's kicks ahead.
Good recognition by Graham that there was no cover defense for
Unlucky
James
he
Madison.
didn't have much of a chase there.
Burkett, the fullback from James Madison's, had a good game today. He's one of the players that stood out for them. Walton Cooper's back on. Some confusion for Whitewater as to who's on and who's off.
I think the hooker Danny Krause is going to be one of the guys coming off.
Good day for him today.
Whitewater discussing its options, and they're going to tap and kick the touch, and that's the ball game. Not sure how the referee's clock beat the stadium clock, but it did. And Whitewater's going to finish 31-17 winners, and will wind up finishing third in the country. So it's a good showing for them. I know they're going to go a little happier than they would have otherwise gone after yesterday.
Madison's going to be disappointed after their strong performance yesterday. They didn't really have it today. I think the conditions were a big factor there. Also the fact that they brought on some of their younger players to get some experience, and that'll bode well for them for the future. But James Madison's going to be a team to watch. Fourth in the country this year. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see them improve on that next year.
The way they've rocketed up since Lamborn has really helped give rebirth to that program. If they can continue on that trajectory, I expect to see them back here.
And we know, as you said earlier, Whitewater, they're a powerhouse. They don't rebuild, they just reload. So wouldn't be surprised to see these two teams meet again in the playoffs in the near future.
All right, we're going to go down, find some hot chocolate, and get warm, and we'll come back up and see you guys for the championship game between Salisbury and UM Duluth.